Hi. Okay. I hope this works. And you can see my slides. Yeah. All right. Awesome. So I'm really excited to be here again, and I'm really happy also for this online version that I can participate in. And wow, good morning, everybody. Welcome to ngVikings. Hello from Israel. Super excited. And so let's start. We're going to talk today about static web applications and what it means and what we can do with them. And but just a quick intro about myself, even though Sebastian already did a great job with it. I'm a cloud advocate at Microsoft, founder of NG Girls, and Google developer expert. Yes, I'm the mother of NG Toddler now. Used to be NG Baby, of course. And this is how you can reach me at GitHub and Twitter. All right, so static web apps. Why are we even talking about static web apps? Like, what's so static about them? Why do we want them to be static? Why don't we want it to be dynamic with user engagement and data from the server and responding to your actions and whatever you do? Yeah, so we do it. We're not talking about static websites, which is an old concept with static HTML with only text, images, and links. We're talking about the static assets. So what's static about web applications is that they're these assets, the HTML files, the JavaScript files, and everything else is ready to use. We just need to store them somewhere in some storage, deployment, some cloud, some server that can just give us these assets to the client, and then they start working. So that's as opposed to assets, HTML pages or JavaScript that are created on the server on runtime. So that's not static. And static web apps are really great because the assets are already ready for us. We just need to serve them to the client. And the more assets, more HTML files and so on that we have that are already ready, rendered, and we don't need to wait for them to render on the client side or in the server side, then it's better for us, better for the users. So that's what's static about web applications. And I want to show you my web application, which is still kind of under construction. So you'll find a lot of bugs there, but it's something that I wanted to demo to you. And where is it? Oh my God, now I did a spoiler. Oh no. Okay. This is my web application. So like you saw in the link, you have to enter it with www. Currently, it doesn't have an Apex domain, so you have to enter www.shmuelaj.me. And this is a website featuring conferences that we have. Well, currently it's only JavaScript conferences and only in 2020. And I actually pulled the data from another conference website. Well, I will share the link afterwards, but it's open source. And it's a really nice website. But this is my implementation with Angular, and I just pulled their data. So basically, you can save conferences. Maybe I will kind of, what you will be really able to do once I finish the whole setup here, you will be able to log in and select your favorite conferences and whether you submitted CFP or not. So this is the website, and well, this is on localhost, and what you can see now is that if I'm looking at the deployed website, and I'm going to look for ngVikings, so it only finds it in the header because you're going to have to click on it to get a badge, spoiler. And but it doesn't find it in the list. So I already put it in the localhost in my code. So here it is. Here's ngVikings. It's the first one. And I just want to, and I'll start by showing you how I commit it, push it, and what happens next with this static web application. So I'm going to do that. Add ngVikings. Okay. Commit. And now let's go here and git push. Now, sorry, but right now it's in a public repository. Conference app. Okay, it's in my private repository. But what it does when I push it to the repository, I've got GitHub action that starts working, and this action is connected to Azure, to the new feature, not a feature, it's actually a whole product by Azure, which is called Static Web Apps. It was announced last week at Build, and it's currently on a preview. So you can try it out. You can suggest your comments, your bugs, your whatever. We would really, really love to hear. But don't try it for production, for your big production apps yet. So now that I pushed it, it just automatically starts to run a job. And I will try to also zoom in here. Okay, so it builds the application using ngBuild, ngBuild prod actually, and then it will deploy it to Azure static websites. And okay, there are a lot of some red stuff here, but don't worry about it. It still works. So so I'm gonna go back to the slides in the meantime while it's working, and tell you a little bit about it, and then tell you also how you set it up in Azure. All right. Okay. All right. So you have your code, and you and your application works on localhost, and that's all awesome and everything. But then you of course push it to GitHub. You can use another service, but right now we're only using GitHub with static web apps on Azure. Then you want to deploy your application. You want the world to see it, okay? So you probably have some kind of a continuous integration pipe, continuous deployment, and so on. So now you can do that with the GitHub Actions. So that's really cool. Another thing that you're gonna have to set up in your application is the APIs. Okay, so you'd still have a backend, or sort of a backend. You can have a serverless application that kind of only has functions on the cloud that do all sorts of stuff. And one of the things is get data from the database, because you don't want a direct connection from your client to the database. But of course, these functions can do a lot more. Now, you want to set up maybe a router to route requests from your app to the API, and maybe also to other like static pages, instead of using the router for example, the Angular router that we have on the client side, maybe you want also some routing that is done statically in the service, on the server, when giving you the assets, giving the client the assets. And also, of course, routes for the API calls. Now, you might want to set up routes that are you need to validate the user. So you have authentication and authorization for these routes. We're gonna get to authentication and authorization soon. But of course, you want also to have SSL, because everybody needs that today, and custom domain. So you saw that I have the application deployed on my custom domain. So like we said, we want to authenticate the users. We want to authorize them for different security roles. We want to decide what are these roles also. So maybe it's not only admin. Maybe we have different users like teacher and student, and they can do different things. We will also want our application to be globally scalable, meaning that if I'm based here in Israel or in Europe, then okay, my app can be hosted here and will go relatively fast. Will be served to European citizens, European users. But what about the rest of the world? It will take more time to get to the United States, to America, to Africa, to Asia. And I want all of these regions to have their own copy of my application, so it will give the best user experience. So, oh my God, so many things that you need to think about if you just want to develop your application and just let the world enjoy it. So many things, and now with a lot of services that are available for us, you can do it relatively easily. So like I said, I'm talking here about Azure Static Web Apps, but this service is, of course, also available in different variations in other clouds and services like Netlify and now SH and Firebase, of course, and there are a lot of different options, but I'm going to show you how it's done and what Azure Static Web Apps can give you. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, so basically you can build and host static web apps, authentication and authorization, APIs powered by Azure Functions, and CI/CD powered by GitHub Actions. Okay, now let's really see. Okay, yeah, before we see it, let me show you this slide also. So the flow is like you saw just now, and I'm gonna dig in deeper a little bit. The flow is you have your repository, and you push it to GitHub. Okay, so on the repository you have your application, which is the client side, and API, which is the functions. I'll show you an example soon. And whenever you push or pull from a pull request to a specific branch that you decided on, and usually it's master, but it doesn't have to be. Whenever you do that, it triggers an action, a GitHub action that builds the application, creates the static content, and uploads it to Azure, and also creates the functions that you have in the API. Now, currently, the functions are limited to HTTP request triggers, but what you can do is have these functions with the HTTP trigger and make them call another function that you have on the portal to access the database, for example. All right. Yeah. So let us see what's going on here. So first of all, we can see that the action has completed and everything's fine. So I'm really, really happy about that. And let's see if we have ngVikings added. Yeah, we have it here. That's so awesome. Okay, let's see a little bit from our code. So the application is just an Angular application, like, you know, everything is in app, you have assets, you have everything. But the things that you need to care about, first of all, for building the application for production, you should know that the default, where is package.json? Yeah. So the default build is ngbuild without the production flag. So you should add it here in package.json, because when GitHub Actions build your application, it takes the command from here. Okay. Now, when we set up the whole, let me see. Okay. When we set up the Azure pipeline, the GitHub pipeline, and from the Azure static web apps, what we actually get here, we get an additional file. Oh my God, it's so big now. Okay, an additional file, GitHub Workflows. Okay, and you can see this file, and you can see that it has all these configurations. So for example, the branch that we're listening to, and where is it? Yeah, and we also have the folder where the build assets are like built there. So so here it's dist-confs, because I just created the confs app from the Angular CLI. Yeah, so you can edit this configuration if you need. Okay, now how do you start? This is the portal for with my deployed application. So let's just do another, let's duplicate it and create another, oh my God, so many accounts that I can log in with. So let's create a new resource. And we're just searching for static web app, and you see that it's in preview, and create. Okay. Now when you're creating, then it asks you several questions, your subscription, your resource group, the details, the name of your static web app, ngVikings, for example, the region that you want the source to be deployed in, for example, West Europe. Of course, it's free. I forgot to tell you that in preview and in the basic tier, it's free. And you can sign in. You should sign in now with GitHub, and then it lets you see all your organizations and the applications that you have here. Okay, so I can select another application and the branch that I want to listen to, and next is where the build assets are given. So it's going to be this slash, so the name of my app name. All right, I'm not going to create here another static web app. I just want to show you what we do have. So we have this URL that is given from Azure for the application, but then I set up a domain using my domain provider, and I can configure it here in custom domains. I can have the functions here. I can see the functions that I have. Okay, so I have a get message, get user, post user, and I can see the code in my code, of course. We've got environment variables. Oh, where is the configuration? We've got some, we can put here the secret keys, store them here instead of somewhere on the computer or in our, or in the repository. Role management, where, like I said, we can also invite users. And what else? What else? So many things. Now, one thing that I forgot to mention is also a great feature. If you have a pull request, then you automatically get a link on GitHub in the pull request for a staging environment. So it adds another environment, another build of your application, and you can check it out before you push the changes to master. So that is really, really awesome. And in the future, we might have more than just one staging environment. Okay, so I'll go really, really quickly. I'm over my time, and I'm going to go really quickly through my slides to just say a few more important things about this. And of course, I'm going to share everything. So it works not only with Angular, it works with everything, with all of the JavaScript frameworks, also with vanilla JavaScript, also with Next.js and Nuxt.js, and with Scully.io. And I even tweeted about how to make it work with StackBlitz Angular application. There are links here to get you started, all the docs, blog posts, examples, here, additional resources, and we have samples, and we have also a repository where you can submit your issues. And tell us about your static web application in all the channels with Azure Static Web Apps. I'm going to watch it on Twitter. And now that you've learned about a new Azure, cool Azure thing, you can get a badge from Azure, a learner badge. And just go to my site if you don't get to if you don't have time to do it now. It's available until 11 p.m. tonight. Go back to www.shmuelaj.me and click on ngVikings, and you'll see this image. Click on it, and you'll get the badge and the instructions. And all right, another cool feature is Learn TV from Microsoft, which is really cool. So you should check it out. And this is it. Thank you all so much. I don't see you. I can't see all the audience, but I kind of imagine that it's something like that, and that you're so cool and awesome.